Thank you. Thank you. Today we're going to continue to dwell on the topic of budgeting, credit, debt, and identity theft. Not very exciting or pleasant topics, but nonetheless topics we need to be extremely aware of in our personal lives today, and also in this situation of job loss and unemployment. So with us today is our delightful guest, Julie Sofrenko. She is the Community Outreach Coordinator at American Consumer Credit Counseling. Welcome, Julie. To begin with, we need to know more about exactly more about what your agency does and how you go about helping to increase the quality of lives of people through control of one's financial life, really, because that is the core of it all.
American Consumer Credit Counseling is a nonprofit credit counseling agency, and so we help people to, as you say, improve the quality of their lives by gaining control of their finances, really through three main venues. One is we have a phone counseling center, which is our largest department. So we have certified counselors, certified by a third party actually, and they take phone calls for free from anybody who wants to go through their budget, talk about their credit and their credit report, to really help them get an idea of what's coming in, what's going out, and from there they can move on to the next step of figuring out how much money they have left at the end of the month to pay off their unsecured debt, which most people know as credit card debt.
Right.
So that's one. That's always free no matter how many times you call.
Well, can you give us advice for how people with no income coming in or limited income should be planning and budgeting? Let's make budgeting one of the key words here.
People always ask me why they need to keep a budget if they have nothing to spend, because people think of the term budget as what I can spend. But a budget is really just a tool to track what's coming in or not coming in and what's going out, and the actual act of writing it down and having those hard numbers that you can look at and manipulate can help anybody to take more control of especially what's going out. So when somebody finds themselves in an unemployed situation, it's even more important to at least have that knowledge, because on the one hand you might see where you're spending a lot and be able to find ways to cut that back and stay at least a little bit in the black. And on the other hand, even if you're spending more than you have coming in, at least you know. It's often less scary when you actually know what the numbers are.
Because knowledge is power, after all.
Absolutely.
People worry at the end of the month about paying bills. I mean, everyone does, but more so the unemployed. There is advice out there about how you should go about planning. I mean, it's hard to prioritize. Every bill is important, you know, but you do have some good advice on how you sort of prioritize which bills to pay first, and you know, so a little more on that.
We have our secured debt, our secured bills, and our unsecured debt and unsecured bills. And what that means is something secured is like your rent or your mortgage, your car, anything where if you don't pay it, it's going to be taken away.
They come after you.
Exactly.
Right.
Then they can come after you. With a credit card, especially if you don't have a wage coming in, there's no wages to garnish or take away without your permission or control. So a lot of people have this fear of credit card companies, this fear of collections agencies, but it's always better and very important to pay your house, your car, the things that can be taken away first, and leave the credit cards for when you have the capacity to pay back those credit cards.
Right. So how does your agency, the American Consumer Credit Counseling Group, feel about the new credit card laws?
There's more that could be done, but you know, credit cards have so much money, the companies are so powerful. I think that the protections put in place are beneficial. For example, previously, if you were paying a credit card and you had two different interest rates, they would apply the money to the rate that was lowest. And so you had to pay down all the money, for example, on a balance transfer with 1% interest, and all of your spending that was, say, 8% interest was still accruing that extra cost because none of the money was going to pay that. That's now not allowed. So when you pay your credit card, the 8%, the highest interest rate, that balance is going to get paid down quicker, which means that you're paying money to the credit card company less.
But what other kinds of debt are we talking about, and how does one go about managing this debt?
Installment loans, which are often student loans
Right.
and car loans. Sometimes a small business loan or a personal loan goes in that category. Then you have the credit card debt, which many people have. And what I'd say for somebody with a limited income is to call the companies. It's always best to pay the minimums given, but one of the biggest pieces of advice is talk to them,
Right.
call them. If you speak with somebody there and say, look, this is my situation, this is my income, these are my fixed expenses, I want in good faith to pay you
Right.
back, but this is my capacity, this is what I have. You can get on a payment plan with a student loan, with your credit card companies, because that will prevent it from going into collections.
Right.
And if you can prevent it from going into collections, that's always a good thing. And whenever you get some sort of deal with any financial company, you must get it in writing from the company before you make those changes.
Today it's very hard to pick up a phone and actually get a human being, you know. But the point being that it's talking to someone, there is the human factor involved. You know, they understand your situation. They want to help. They're willing to help. They want to keep you as a client. So it is good always to touch base and not wait too late to do it.
Exactly.
For instance, we talked about if you have issues with your mortgage, let them know offhand. Maybe they can help you. So this is good advice for people, and that is just pick up the phone, try and get through,
Right.
and talk through your issues, right?
Exactly. And if somebody has found themselves in collections, for example, pick up the phone and at least get the company's name, and then you can look up their address. Because if they're sending you what you feel is harassing phone calls, you actually have the right to send them a cease and desist letter based on the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act.
All
So
right.
it's a long name, but what that means is they're only allowed to contact you via mail to tell you when a debt's been put in collections, if there's an increase in your bill, or if they are going to take action against you, such as suing you. But you won't be getting the harassing phone calls anymore. If they continue with those phone calls, then you can report it to the Attorney General, to some government agency, and take the next action step, because what they're doing isn't right.
Apart from the harassment and calls that we all get every day for whatever reason, one has to watch out also for scams. I mean, in today's world, you have to be very, very alert and aware about, you know, managing your finances and your debt and your credit. What are some of the scams out there that people need to be, you know, worried about?
Just to talk about our agency for a moment, you can find out that we are a very legitimate organization by knowing that we were audited by the IRS for 2 years and came out with a no change letter. So that means that everything we've been doing, all our practices, have been above board and really to help the client. One thing you can do is check the Better Business Bureau. We have an A+ rating, which is, you know, a company that you can feel confident doing business with. When you see commercials for debt settlement,
Right.
credit repair, debt settlement companies across the board have tops a D rating on the Better Business Bureau. Those are the companies where you send in your $500, $1,000 upfront fee, and the next day they're gone.
Right.
No phone number. And a lot of people have been hurt by that, and they already don't have money, they're already in trouble, and then they're out another $1,000. Another thing with debt settlement that people should know is if your credit cards are on time now, but you want to settle for less, they have to become late. So a settlement company might not tell you. They're going to hold your money for 3 months until you are late, and then contact your credit company. So it's ruining your credit. Do your homework. Even if you put into Google the company's name you want to work with and the word scam, there's a lot of people who report where they've been hurt by other companies. So even going on Google, going on the Better Business Bureau.
If you can't do it on your own and if you're not doing a good job, is it advisable to get help?
Yes, I mean, I think at the bottom line, talking to a professional who has experience is helpful.
Right.
Just know who you're talking to. Maybe go in with certain objectives. These are my goals.
Right.
Go in with questions. Questions definitely
Right.
help to empower you and make sure the conversation is going where you want it to
Right.
go.
Well, speaking the keyword questions, when you're out on the road talking to people, addressing groups, what are some of the typical questions that you hear over and over again? And if possible, are some of these questions from unemployed people?
The biggest question that's either asked or implied is, where did that extra $200 go?
Go.
It's gone.
Right.
I can't account for it, but I don't have it.
Yeah.
People get into routines and they do things without realizing it.
Probably in hard times need to be aware of where you can cut and where you can find those little extras. So
Exactly.
it comes back to our initial point of management and control, right?
Right. Another place is people go to the grocery store once a week, do what they're supposed to do, their bulk shopping with their grocery list, but then they have to pick up a gallon of milk. Maybe once a week, and then eggs another time. That should only cost, what, $3?
Right.
They go in and they pick up 5
And
other things.
you get sidetracked.
And they don't realize it.
Absolutely.
That could be an extra $30 to $60
Absolutely.
a week. And if you track your spending
Yep.
for a whole week, you see, oh, I didn't even know I spent that
Right.
money there.
Right.
So it's an easy way that doesn't even have to change your lifestyle
Right.
to cut back, because you don't need that other
Right.
couple items,
Right.
because you already have all the food you need in the
Right,
house.
Right. When people talk about cutting back, are some of the examples they give you, for instance, they cut down on going out to eat, going out to the movies? Are those the typical areas where people are cutting back in hard times?
Certainly. I mean, people work hard. They work hard to keep their families happy, and it can be hard to cut back on even those little luxuries. Maybe instead of going to a restaurant, you take your family to a coffee shop, get a couple hot chocolates and a couple cookies. You're still enjoying an experience out, but it cuts back that much more money.
Right. So hard times call for creative measures.
Exactly.
Right.
Creativity is key.
All right.
Yes.
Well, Julie, it's been delightful talking to you, and thank you so much, first of all, for letting us know about the free services you offer.
Absolutely.
We will share the phone number and the website. And I think you've made it clear that people are more than welcome to call in and get your help. And they can probably also catch you and your colleagues when you're presenting at different times around the state. So again, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you.